So you'd have a passage appearing on your screen paragraph by paragraph. Number one, the moment you are done reading the paragraph, comment, tell me that you are done, you're through, so that I can take you over to the next slide. And please keep in mind that you and I happen to have a lag of around 15-17 seconds. So please bear with that. Number two, if while reading the passage you do not understand anything, you can of course go ahead and ask it. And number three, most important, how do I want you to read it? I want you to read it in such a way that by the end of the passage you happen to have a mental overview of the passage. You should know what the passage is about. You should know what the author intended to do through this passage. You should have the key idea mentioned in every paragraph in your mind. So these are the kind of things that I want you to do. So take a deep breath, get ready, and here it is on your screen. Fantastic, Sonali. That was quick. Good job. Just one more person. Just tell me that you're done and I'll move you over to the slide. Move you over to the next paragraph. There it is. Fantastic. I see that Pratyusha, Pratik, Anjala. Keep doing that. Keep doing that regularly. Okay, Ritika. Done. Give me the status, guys. Are we through? Fantastic. The next paragraph. Shraddha, that was fast, huh? Sonali, you two are doing a good job. Keep it up. Should I move on? Yes. Good, 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 Sonali. Pratik, let's push harder, man. Come on. Fantastic, huh? Pratik, you definitely came through. Great job, man. Great job. Wow. Pratyusha, good going. So here is the next paragraph, the last one. Great, guys. So are we ready for the questions now? And remember, there are certain things that I wanted you to do when you read a passage. Do you know what the passage is about? Do you know the purpose? Do you have the key idea of every paragraph in your mind? So in other words, have you managed to come up with a successful mental overview of the passage? Right? Okay, so here you go. Question number 1 on your screen. If you have done those things that I asked you to, this question is going to be a very easy question for you. Let's start. प्रतीक, हफ्ते में 3-4 दिन तो मैं ही होता हूं यार, यहां पे मेरे साथ ही कर लिया अगर. That's as good as it gets. बाकी फिर ऑनलाइन बहुत मिलेंगे पैसेजेस, यू कैन स्टार्ट प्रैक्टिसिंग दोस. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, बायजूस एग्जाम प्रेप ऐप पे हम लोग हर रोज एक सेक्शन वाइज क्विज डालते हैं. सो इफ यू आर रियली सीरियस, दैट्स one resource that you cannot do without. So let's check primary purpose. अब यार मोटे मोटे तौर पे अपने को क्या पता है? अपने को पता है पैसेजेस जो है वो या तो ओपिनियन बेस्ड होते हैं या उनमें ओपिनियन नहीं होती. So if it is an opinion based passage, then it is trying to do what? Persuade us or convince us. If the passage does not give you the author's own opinion, then it is going to inform you or inspire you, maybe entertain you, right? So in this passage, you realize the last paragraph did have author's own opinion. So we know that the core job is to persuade or convince. Now if I look only at the verbs, highlight, demonstrate, argue, predict, then A and B do not really talk about passages where you have opinions, right? They talk about these verbs basically suggest the presence of an informative passage, which it was not. So A and B can be ruled out. Between C and D, does the author predict a gloomy future? So gloomy future is we are done. Gloomy future is pessimism. Gloomy future is निराशा के भाई अब कुछ नहीं हो सकता, बोरिया बिस्तरा बांधो और निकल लो, अपना टाइम आ गया ऊपर जाने. Mankind as mankind. Is this what he says? Has the author said that our immunity is failing? So these are, in fact, let me take you back to the last paragraph and check. Immunity wanes. Wanes is reduces. It does not mean that it fails. Okay. And then there is this question, will the gap in severity be eroded, increasing levels of morality? We don't know. He's not sure. But we'll almost certainly see the further erosion of immune protection as the virus continues to evolve, and the need to redouble vaccination campaigns. So he does not say that things are done. He says that we need to put in more efforts, and that is what is given in C. That is more consistent with C, and that is why we should pick up C over D. Dylan Carlos, what sort of name would this be? किसी series का character है क्या? थोड़ा off topic. CMAT getting a raw score of 312, is that a fine score? यार Carlos, मैं CMAT track नहीं कर रहा था, but मुझे time दे, हाँ कल तक मैं check करके बताता हूँ. If you're here tomorrow, I'd share this with you. Kritika, argue basically means to take up a stance. Argue is a verb that suggests that the author has his own opinion. And in the last paragraph, this is exactly what he has suggested or advocated for. So arguing in the conventional sense, arguing would mean that you engage in a heated discussion with somebody. That's not what argue always means. Okay. Next question. Question number 2. Why does the author label 2021 as the year of the variant? So answers, guys, answers. So this question requires us to have a look at the second paragraph of the passage, and if you go through the second paragraph, because we have to give names to successive years of pandemic, that is not the reason why it has been called the year of the variant. Why is it called the year of the variant? You had alpha, beta, gamma, delta, variant after variant coming with the different set of features, right? So the best answer as a result will be option C, because there are these 3-4 different variants that followed the initial variant. And you guys are absolutely right, huh? Pratyusha, Pratik, Subhana, Sonali, Anjila, you guys have absolutely managed to get this right. It is indeed option C. And with that, let's dive into the next question. Everybody's gotten this right. Come on. That's amazing to see. So question number 3. What form has the pandemic taken in 22? Just a hint, you need to use the seeker to go back to the third paragraph. That is where information about 2022 has been mentioned. So this is not mentioned in the third paragraph, so can be ruled out. Hope and glory, no. Third paragraph is all about Omicron. It is not about multiple variants. The multiple variants were there in the second paragraph, which talked about 2021. And that is why the correct answer here should be B. A is anyway false according to the passage. So, going back to the right area, right part of the passage is very important for us. Otherwise, it can lead us towards making a mistake. That is why mental overview helps a lot. Okay, here is the next one. And okay, but then, okay, let's go ahead and you solve it and then I'll talk. Okay, so the answers have started coming in. Let us see if I need to discuss this. So far all the answers have said B, and I absolutely second that. B is the right answer. This in fact happens to be the last line of the passage. And if you go through that particular paragraph, the fourth paragraph basically, you'd realize why the author has said this. The virus is evolving, is able to evade immunity. We need to keep bringing in new vaccines. So B, it is absolutely right. And here is the last question based on this particular passage. Should I read up the line? That will at least make it easy for you. The line was found in the third paragraph. So the third paragraph has this sentence that says Omicron is highly evasive of the antibodies that vaccination and prior infections conferred. So Omicron is highly evasive of the antibodies. So keep that in mind while you answer it. So what's your take? So Nari, I'm glad you find this easy. It basically tells us that your existing level makes this easy for you. So passages are never inherently easy or difficult. It all boils down to how good we are. Okay, so here in this case, evasive is basically something that is able to avoid the antibodies. You can say avoid, escape, evade the antibodies. Does attacking give you that meaning? No. Elusive. Now, elusive is something which is difficult to catch, so maybe. Tentative is not sure, not firm, not final, does not give you that same meaning. When you meet something head on, you do not avoid it. This is in fact going to be the antonym. So the best answer is indeed option B. So that takes care of passage 1. And now, are you ready for the next passage? Let's just make that mental switch. Take 3 deep breaths and get ready for the next one. There you go. And just a reminder, let me know once you are done and you're reading for overview, you're not reading for detail. You can always use the seeker to go back to the right part of the passage. Okay, Shraddha is back to form. And here is the next paragraph for you. Okay, taking you over to the next paragraph. And this is the last one. After this, the questions start. Alright, so here comes the next question for you. Which of the following options best captures the essence of the passage? It is a main idea question, and I'd suggest that you use the elimination approach to arrive at the right answer, as the selection approach can at times be misleading, can lead to wrong answers. Okay, squander. Squander basically means to waste. Okay, so let us say somebody gave us a lot of money, but we ended up buying a lot of silly, stupid things instead of buying something useful or investing it. Then we'd say that we have squandered all that money. So to waste money or to waste opportunities by not using them in the best possible manner, by not using them to the best of your advantage, in an advantageous manner. So answers. So I think there is one answer which is easy to rule out, and that is D. When you say with a grain of salt, it basically means that do not believe it blindly. But the author has definitely believed it, and our answer is supposed to go, or our answer is supposed to be based on the passage. So D is ruled out. And even in A, when you say India is optimistic about a good southwest monsoon, we are talking about facts. We are talking about predictions that are based on science. So it is not a matter of optimism. So that leaves you with B and C. Now come to think of it, let us say C. Now if C is the main idea, for a brief while, work with me, okay? If C were to be the main idea, what kind of passage will we write? Or in other words, If I give you option C as a topic to write an essay on, what sort of outline would you generate? What kind of things would you like to include? Where the main idea turns out to be C. So I think we will talk about how different entities, the state government and the agri input suppliers act. We'll talk about the impact of their actions on the final outcomes. We'll also talk about how, if they do not act in a coordinated manner, then the results are suboptimal, right? Those are the kind of things that we want to include in the passage. Now, does our passage talk about all those things? Does it focus on how or why these three entities need to remain coordinated? There is just a tiny part. Third paragraph, second half is the only place where it mentions. If you pick up C, we'll not be able to accommodate the first paragraph, the second paragraph, or the first half of the third paragraph. And that is what tells us that option C is going to be what I generally call a narrow answer choice. It does not give you the main idea, it only points you towards one part that is given. But B, take advantage of good monsoon? Yup. With the right agricultural policies and measures? Yes. And that's the gist. It's definitely better than C. Remember, we need to go ahead and get into MSP and then quite a few other measures as well. So that we don't squander a good monsoon. So that is what makes B better than C, and thus our answer. Main idea questions can at times get tricky though. Let's see. The next one. What's your take? So, did more damage than good. What's your take? So, A is true. A tells us how it damaged. B does not tell it to us. C also tells us how it damaged. But D combines both A and C, and that is what makes D the best answer choice. So A and C were only parts of the problems. D gives you the entire picture, and that is what makes D our correct answer. Here is the next one. So good old inference question. Let's see how you tackle. So basically in every inference based question we go to an answer choice and we label it as true, false or can't say. Now there is a clue hidden within this statement, should not. When you say should not, become a squandered opportunity? You are saying that there is a possibility that it can be wasted. So expected to squander, no. There have been many instances where the opportunities provided by a good monsoon have been squandered. That's can't say. What we can infer is that there is a possibility, and that possibility is indeed captured by option C, and therefore we'll mark that as our answer. D can also be ruled out because of the words that I have gone on to highlight. You would not be able to back these paths up from the passage. Okay, and thus C it is. And with that, let me take you over to one more inference based question, but this time around something that is based on the entire passage and not just a single line. Okay, so let's start with A. The IMD's predictions about monsoon have often been wrong. Can't say. There is nothing in the passage that tells us that their track record has been very poor. B. La Nina conditions affect the time and distribution of monsoon rains. True. Mentioned. C. The center is against an MSP for Kharif crops. In the last paragraph, we know that the author is advocating for MSP, saying as an immediate measure, center should do it. Now, whether the center is for it or against it is something that cannot be determined, and therefore the correct label for C once again will be can't say. And then D, oil seeds, pulses, cotton and maize are water guzzling crops. Say that is false. The last paragraph tells us that these are crops which do not require much water. We've been given paddy and sugarcane in the passage as crops that are water guzzling. So these ones are not the examples of water guzzling crops. So in an inference based question, if I have an answer choice which is true and the rest of them are can't say and false, what do? I choose the one that is true as my answer and I reject the others. There you go. So that is why our answer to question number 9 should be option B. And here is a thought to energize you. The greatest mistake you can make is to be continually fearing that you will make one. So just go ahead and make mistakes, especially in those areas that you're not very comfortable with, and you will become amazing in even those areas in no time. So embrace mistakes. In fact, there are times when I give people the target of making a certain number of mistakes in the coming week. And over the years, I have seen that this is probably the surest way to go on and become amazing. So embrace mistakes, make them, and through those, go on to become better. If you enjoyed working with me on this session, don't forget to hit the like button, and I look forward to meeting you once again tomorrow at 12, where we'll pick up a passage and some of the question types, and some of you wanted me to decode the question stems being used by the CAT guys of late. So I'll pick up 2 of those and we'd go ahead and talk about them. Okay. And then we can perhaps pick up some more subsequently. And if you are struggling with some sort of question stem, make sure that you send it over to me and I can incorporate that in